Welcome to This Week in Guns. Our bandwidth sponsor today is Stealth Gear USA, stealthgearusa.com. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, Patriot Batch Company, and JWB Military and Brass. This is a podcast that offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of FRN. You make this show possible. That's right. You simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online. And a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. You can also pledge your support over at firearmsradio.tv/pledge for as little as a cup of Starbucks per month. You can pledge your support for This Week in Guns. Go over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge. We have a great panel this week. We have Tony Simon, the founder of The Second Is For Everyone. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Jake.
Great to have you on. I think this is your first time on This Week in Guns, possibly. So why don't you real quick explain what the Second Is For Everyone is?
The Second Is For Everyone diversity shoot is something I put together along with a lot of friends of mine to get people of all different backgrounds to the range in Jersey here get regular people, get people who've never shot before, get experienced shooters, get NRA instructors, get them together with Second Amendment groups at the range, allow local Second Amendment groups and the NRA ILA and anyone else who wants to come out to introduce themselves to real shooters, to real people, and let them know what they do in New Jersey for the Second Amendment. It's grown over the years. This will be my third year coming up in 2017. Try to do is just get people involved in Second Amendment advocacy. There are a lot of gun owners. We have like 100 million plus gun owners in the country, yet the NRA only has 5 million members. That's kind of sad. And we have 1 million gun owners in New Jersey, and we're trying to get as many as possible politically active. So that's why I came up with this, just to get people of all colors, races, creeds, sexuality together and go, yes, you're invited in the gun community. That stereotype people try to push is not true. People look just like you, people that same sexuality as you, gender as you, financial status as you, come to the range, and we have a great time, and we're decent people, and we're not all rednecks that hate anybody who's not a redneck. And the industry has really came on and helped me out, and company like Patriot Patch Company, Ruger, Springfield Armory, they've all come through and donated stuff. So I have a lot of cool swag to give away. I have raffle prizes. We have over 200 rental guns at Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park. That's where we host at, and we're going to be hosting throughout the state in Maryland and PA this year. So I'm going to be busy. I usually do these every 2 months, and I think with the 2017 schedule, I'll be doing them every month around the state of New Jersey, PA, and Maryland. Be a busy beaver this year. But the whole thing is put together to bust stereotypes up and spread information. And get people to shoot guns they never shot before. So that's what we do, and that's what the Second Is For Everyone is.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll have a link in the show notes to it, and you can speak a little more about it and maybe tell us some stories later on in the show. So we have Matt DeVito, Downrange Firearms Training. Hey, Matt.
What's going on, Jake? Thanks for having me.
Been a long time. I heard you went on a hunting trip.
I did. I just got back from some of the coldest temperatures I've ever been in, believe it or not, Texas, with John from the Gun Collective, my buddy Tony, and my buddy Adam Peeney from Raven Concealment.
How'd it go? Did you get anything?
Yeah, we slayed ducks for 2 days, and on the very last day in -6-degree temperatures, I was able to drop 3 good-size wild boar in about 9 seconds. So
nice.
Yep. Very cool. Cold in Texas. It doesn't get cold in Texas.
It was out of control.
We have JD Smith of the AR-15 podcast. Hey, JD.
Hey, Jake. How's it going tonight?
Going great.
We're pretty Reed keeps us pretty busy over at the AR-15 podcast. We're giving away 3 rifles this year, so we're wrapping up our last giveaway and doing things over there. And of course, every week you can hear us on the AR-15 podcast. Try to keep Reed from telling us how much he loves iron sights. So
Very cool. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Your discretion is advised, especially on live shows. I do want to apologize for the video feed this week. We're not on Facebook Live, and we're having difficulty even on YouTube with some cameras working. So apologize for that. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club. We were taking new enrollments here for a limited time period for Patriot Patch of the Month Club, where you get an exclusive patch and sticker combo every month. You can only get it through the Patch of the Month Club, and they're limited editions, never to be ran again. Also have a brand new 1911 cleaning mat over there, new participation trophy over there, and lots of good stuff. PatriotPatch.co. Top stories this week. We'll try to start with something more on the positive side. Florida Southeastern University staff will be trained to conceal carry firearms on campus. And I saw another article where this actually goes against the campus carry ban on that campus, but the sheriff's office is doing it anyways.
I mean, it seems pretty cool checking out the article a little bit earlier today. It's not just that they're going to, let them carry and just send them out in the wind. They're actually going to spend a significant amount of time. The Polk County Sheriff's Office, about 100 hours of firearm safety and proficiency training. So, I mean, I think that's a good kind of template for any university or school to follow to make sure your people are regularly trained. I mean, I don't know if normal people who go out and get their CCW spend that much time in training. I bet you wouldn't find that.
That much time? That's 100 hours, man. That's like 7 days. That's significant training. I want to do that. Can I volunteer? I don't even live in Florida. I'll just do the training. It's free, right?
Well, Matt, do you know what the training requirement is for the Florida permit?
I don't.
I
think you have to take it.
It's less than a day, isn't it?
Yeah, I
because
believe.
You can get them
Tony.
both. You can get both Florida and Utah in the same day.
Yeah.
Because I've got friends that did it, and I should have done it, but the place I went only had Utah.
Yeah, I think my buddy Derek Poole from Echo 5 Training Group teaches down in Florida, and I believe it's either a 6 or an 8 hour course, and they do require live fire. But again, you're talking about how much can you get in to an 8 hour course. I know up here in Asperse, and it does not require live fire. You can get your concealed carry permit right after that. Kind of scary to think about, but it is. I guess it is what it is. But I'm all for campus carry. And having responsible people armed on campus. I actually, after Sandy Hook, I traveled around the country, and we were doing a program called the SARC program, Student Active Response Program, and it was getting teachers and administrators and students and stuff like that trained up on how to deal with an active shooter or a spree killer. I had a lot of teachers come to classes, and the issue is, whether you want to believe it or not everybody should be allowed to carry a firearm just because they go through the training class. I went up to Montana. It's the one that sticks out in my mind. And there were a lot of people that had never shot a gun before, a lot of people that had never taken a gun out of a holster before. And as an instructor, I had to make sure that, they obviously knew what they were doing, but I was confident in the fact that they could use the gun if God forbid they needed to. And they didn't build competency until almost halfway through day 2. Ending day 1, I kind of sat there and said to myself, these people aren't prepared at all. And, I started to question, no matter what I did, if they would start to catch on and start having those light bulb moments. And then about halfway through day 2, it's like somebody flipped a switch. and they were, they weren't messing up their drawers. They weren't shooting each other's targets. They were shooting the right targets. So it's one of those things where I'm curious to see exactly how this program is going to work out, because, for a lot of police officers across the country, their qualification is only one time a year. Here in Massachusetts, they qual once a year, and it's 250 rounds. And I mean, personally, if I'm a parent and I have students on campus, a child on campus, I want to know that the person that's carrying a gun to potentially protect my kids is going to be proficient in the use of it, and, not have any collateral damage or something like that. So I'm curious to see how this plays out and what they're going to do as far as qualifications to keep these people up to par.
Well, as a trainer myself, it is amazing the number of people that show up at class with a gun they've never shot before. And it's like, so you've never fired a firearm before, you have a gun. How long have you had it? Oh, 10 years. Well, what are you using it for? Oh, it's home protection. You have a gun you've never, ever shot, loaded up. You've never fired a gun, and you're going, on the worst day of your life, you're going to figure out how to use it and shoot it accurately with your family. And okay, hey, thanks for coming by and actually getting training. I really appreciate it. That happened multiple times, and it's kind of frightening. I work for the Department of Corrections here in Jersey, and our pistol qualification is 50 rounds. So you worry about 100 hours of training for Florida teachers. They have 50 rounds. Sometimes I watch these guys load their firearms, and I'm like, this is the most frightening thing I've witnessed. Them just loading the gun to go out on an escort.
Dang.
Let's move on to Governor of Ohio signs gun rights expansion bill into law. This expands actually into some school safety zones, quote unquote, and other areas. This is one where I was almost a little bit surprised that he signed this, because on the campaign trail when he was running for presidency, I didn't think he was that pro-gun.
Well, Donald Trump is still hiring, so he wants to seem like he's a real Republican. Chris Christie did the same thing right now. Chris Christie's pretending to be a Republican right now too. It's awesome in Jersey.
It's a good point. I didn't even think of it that way.
Yeah. It's again, something that's interesting, because I'm sitting here and I'm reading it, and he comes out and says the protection of our Second Amendment rights must be taken seriously, and my sponsorship of this legislation reflects the wishes of many of my constituents. Again, that's a big and bold move for somebody to take, as far as such a strong stance on it. A lot of people really a lot of politicians skirt around the gun issue. Ohio is a pretty 2A friendly state, and it's still one of those things where you really only hear about this kind of stuff like in Florida, in Texas, in Montana or Idaho, like the states where everybody owns a gun. I think Ohio's got they have a couple of crazy laws up there as far as magazine capacity. I think, at least the last time I was there, they did. But I know recently they started recognizing everybody's licenses, and it's not constitutional carry. I don't think so. But as long as you have a license in your home state, you can carry in Ohio, I believe. So I guess it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Ohio made some changes. Ohio made some changes a few years ago too that allowed more states to be accepted in reciprocity.
Yeah, well, Ohio's really jumpy since the whole Harambe thing, so I guess everybody just wants to be strapped up just in case.
Did I step all over your Harambe? Harambe insert there? Okay.
Never forget.
Yeah.
Never forget Harambe.
Have you seen the Harambe Christmas sweaters? Did you pick
Yes.
them?
It's our first Christmas without them. It's horrible.
It's horrible. I Jeremy Posderick from We Like Shooting and we kind of go at each other every now and again. I made a post with him and Harambe as Hollywood's new power couple, Harambe, and I sent it to him.
It's awesome. And that brings us to This Week in Terrorism.
Worst segue ever.
Russian ambassador to Turkey assassinated in front of the press by off-duty police officer. Terrorists repeat of playbook from France and Berlin Christmas market, truck massacre, and ISIS puts out holiday attack lists, including a list of U.S. churches. Where do we start?
I think the church list was fresh this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Came out this morning. I looked everywhere to actually find a list the article said, we're not going to publish this, but if you're visiting red state churches, there's a chance that you're going to get more lead flying back at you than it would be if you visit other soft targets. Because I know here in Nevada, we're not technically a red state anymore, unfortunately, but there is a lot of concealed carry. There is a lot of weapons on the premises of some of the mega churches that are around town here. I know a lot of the people that work security. I'm in the music broadcasting industry here, and so there is a lot placed on security, especially here with Las Vegas being a target. But I don't know if that's such a great idea to let, if that's where you want to strike, it may not be the softest target to get. You may actually fail just because of the security at those churches.
Well, I know when I go home to visit down south to my mom's, I always come up with excuses not to go to church on Christmas. But dude, wait a minute. Terrorist attack? I'll be there. I'll be there. I have my suit and my Glock on just ready.
See,
maybe I'll even stay awake.
I think that a lot of our churches are soft targets, though, because maybe it's just me here in Illinois, but they're especially the smaller to mid-sized churches. They don't run any kind of security. I mean, they'll have designated people like looking out for things, quote unquote, but there's no security or anything, and there's very few churches that have maybe a significant group of concealed carriers there in every service. So that's something I've always been concerned about.
Do you think maybe ISIS didn't get the memo that Mattis is now Secretary of Defense?
Right.
Oh, ooh, wow. Wrong move.
Yeah, right.
I just look at it like this. Sometimes people need to wake up. There are no safe places, and we need to get that through a bunch of people's heads. How many churches have been shot up? I mean, South Carolina was the one everybody remembers off the top of your head, but there have been lots of others before that. Hospitals, same thing. Nothing. Everything's a soft target. If you live in a state that you can carry. But
everywhere you can.
Yep. And some places you can't. That's up to you, how you want to live your life.
Well, I hope this serves as a wake-up call to some of these churches to maybe take their security a little more seriously, maybe start thinking about reaching out to their congregation and being like, do we have any concealed carriers here, any instructors here, what's our security plan look like in case of a terrorist attack event? I mean, I don't know that many churches aren't the only thing that probably don't take terrorist attack into consideration. They may take a single active shooter, but what if it's multiples and so on?
To me about a lot of this because people say, it's an overactive imagination because they see it as a cell of dedicated terrorists. I'm like, no, it can be some idiot and it's just a wannabe. You have no one here. So it makes no difference if he's a hardened terrorist or Joe Bob Earl that just got out of jail and wants to be famous. You know what I mean? So it makes no difference. You're still getting shot at. So yes, take your security seriously because block.
But also, if you attend that church, you can ask that question too. What do you have? I mean, don't be suspicious about it, but ask, you know, what have you guys, do you guys have a security plan in place? Is there law enforcement, off-duty law enforcement that's there? A lot of churches will hire them. You know, what's the plan? Is there something there? Or are we just, you know, praying that nothing happens? I mean, you got to be prepared both ways. If you're on your pastoral staff at a church, big or small, a lot of mega churches here have, you know, pretty significant security to protect them. But I get your point, Jake, on the small ones. But you as a member of a church or somebody who attends church, asking, saying, hey, you know, do we have a plan A or a B or something if this happens, if something bad happens, God forbid. But, you know, that's also your responsibility to make sure your family's safe as you go somewhere and not just leave it up to the membership of the church or the leadership of the church.
Oh, here's the thing, though, by the way. If you're going to stand up in church and ask that question, don't be someone that shows up only on Easter and Christmas. I'm just saying, maybe you need to go to church more than twice a year if you want to have that conversation.
Yeah, at least go like twice a quarter.
All right. Next week, we'll talk about minimum church attendance. Let's talk about Russian ambassador to Turkey assassinated. Seems like Russia may be taking care of ISIS more than we are as the U.S. Thanks, Obama. And I thought Putin's response to this was far more presidential than Obama would have done.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. For a minute, I thought, you know, they'd lay waste to everything and get upset, but I was really surprised with the fact that it was just kind of calm, cool, and collected. And I wonder if that date, 28 days from now or 29 days from now, played a role in that. Putin knowing that the U.S. most likely will change its, you know, strategy against ISIS and terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think, you know, Putin could have acted pretty hastily, and we know that if it was Obama would have been like, oh, it's an isolated incident and it's not terrorism, it's just the JV team. But I think with everything that's potentially happening at the beginning of the year, it was a smart move to kind of let cooler heads prevail and wait it out and see what happens, because I think coming down the pipe, there's probably going to be some a good little union there between us and Russia.
Well, I think it's good that they backed off, or at least not backed off, but didn't jump full force in, because they know they have someone that's going to be aggressive against terrorism coming in to head up the United States. The other thing is, he doesn't look like a madman, and Obama still looks like, well, what he is. and Obama probably would have blamed the NRA somehow. Each third or fourth draft that somehow blamed the NRA for this. Just saying.
It's all those Turkish NRA members.
No, that's what it is. It's the international NRA. They get even more. Whoa.
Did you guys happen to see the meme that was going around for the shooter and John Travolta from Saturday Night Live? I mean, it's almost perfect for staying alive.
Oh, really? No, I saw the meme where everybody was congratulating him on his trigger discipline. his finger was completely off the trigger and along the slide. It was great.
Oh, it's awful. Okay, so road rage epidemic. We have like 4 stories here. Our editors put in the show notes about some road rage incidents. Several where young children lost their lives or were injured. Do you guys think road rage is on the rise, especially involving guns?
No, not at all. These are 4 places spattered all across the country. There are more man-bite dog story in the country this month than road rage incidents where kids got shot. Plus, you know, sometimes 3 and 8-year-olds get out of hand. You have to bust a cap in them and calm them down. I'm just saying. Are we there yet? Are we there? Say, are we there yet? One more time. One more time.
You know what's kind of funny? I mean, I used to be really hot-headed, and especially in, you know, quote unquote road rage type incidents. When I started carrying a gun, I totally changed, and I was like, way more cool, calm, and collected. And I just kind of laughed. People cut me off, and just thinking about, you know what, like, if you want to play that game, it's gonna go bad for you. And it's like it's weird that people are gonna try and say that there's obviously a correlation between road rage and carrying a firearm, because I know myself personally, I know a bunch of other people that they've changed their attitudes and acted complete 180 of what they were when they were hotheads and kind of hostile once they started carrying a gun, because they realized the responsibility of carrying a gun. So it's I think exactly what Tony said. It's 4 isolated incidents in 4 separate parts of the country. So
I completely go ahead, Tony.
No, please.
I completely agree with Matt. As soon as I took the class for CCW and it came through, I'm an Irish redhead, so I've got that fiery temper. Drive a big truck, and all of a sudden it changed completely, because there was now more of the responsibility, and actually the knowledge of, there is that responsibility to come through and follow the law. But if road rage incident gets out of hand, and we end up fists on the side of the road, and I've got a weapon on my hip, and the police come, it's going to mean even more trouble for me. So it really just kind of mellowed me out. And ultimately it says, if you have to handle something, you have the ability to ultimately handle it and, leave with your life if it gets that severe. And you want to try to avoid those situations. I don't know anybody that, amongst my friends that gets a CCW, carries and drives in these incidents. And Vegas is the worst, man. It's like we take every bad driving habit from around the country and just throw it right here. And, you want to make sure you're vigilant and you stay out of trouble. So a lot of things that used to bug you driving, if you get cut off, you get flipped off, it's whatever, you just smile and go on, blow them a kiss.
See, I'm from a different background, former military, used to bounce. I always tried to de-escalate incidents. I moved to Jersey, became a locksmith, and I ended up going to, stupid places at stupid time to help out stupid people. So I'm in the worst neighborhoods at that time. So I was carrying a 1911 because I knew exactly what I was doing. I carried a steel 1911 and an Uncle Mike's inside the pants holster. So I was on point. But I had the best of the best because I didn't have a Phobos holster. But what happened was I was carrying in New Jersey, which was 100% illegal for me to carry. And please don't do this at home. Don't follow my advice. It was just no one was going to be there in the worst neighborhoods in the state: Newark, Camden, Jersey City, West New York. So my whole thing was this: I don't ever want to use this, but I want to have an option. I'm like, I'm going to go to jail for 5 years, no matter how this ends. How important is this argument, fight, robbery, whatever it is to me right now? Because if it ends the best way possible in a life-altering altercation, I'm going to jail when it's over with, period. And that keeps your temper in check. That makes you de-escalate. That makes you walk away from a lot of things, mainly because the state I live in only has 1,700 concealed carry holders in the entire state. And most of them know someone, or judges, or work security as a job. So yeah, it's impossible. Even though we have concealed carry here, you're not getting it.
All right, let's move on to why liberals are becoming gun owners too, post-election here.
Isn't it for their rebellion against us?
Yeah, I find it funny that a bunch of people that wanted more gun control all of a sudden didn't have a national election go their way. And I'm getting calls from a bunch of people that want gun classes now. It's awesome.
Well, it says because it tries to correlate in the front of this article that people that got Trump elected are also, associated with rise in reports of hate crimes and neo-Nazi activity.
Yeah, remember all those riots and fights and people getting punched in the face outside of Trump rallies? Those weren't Trump supporters that were doing the attacking. I'm just saying. Let's not forget that.
You know, we're right-wing extremists. You got to watch out for us because we could loose cannons that could go off at any second. So the liberals got to protect themselves.
Yeah,
the
liberals.
3 months ago, they said a tyrannical government was impossible. Now 3 months later, they're like, wait a minute. So
yeah. 3 months later, they're watching Red Dawn and taking notes. Jake can't keep Wolverine patches in stock.
It's true. I can't. Wolverines, and they're all going to New York. I don't understand it. Quite a lengthy article, but if you want to laugh a lot, it's from the BBC. So, yeah, already know their stance.
Oh, it's comedy. It's comedy.
Stealth Gear USA. Stealth Gear USA helps make this episode possible. Check out the new SG Revolution line of holsters. Lightweight, affordable, slim, and breathable polymer backing on these. Hand-built in America. Have any of you guys tried out the Stealth Gear USA holsters?
Oh, sir.
No, not yet. But
Yeah,
now I see I can get 10% off using Twig as a...
that's right.
That is Twig, not Twink, right?
Twig.
Okay, cool.
TWIG.
All right, just making sure because I don't want to admit to nothing.
Hand built in America. Every Stealth Gear USA is custom molded to your exact firearm. Unfortunately, I don't have video tonight to showcase Stealth Gear USA's awesome holsters, but they have quite the selection. If you have a gun, they probably have a holster for you. Check it out. They also have the awesome 45-day no questions asked guarantee. So maybe you got a one that you're going to carry, appendix carry, and you're like, I don't really like this. I want to carry more on the hip. You can go ahead and switch that out with their awesome no questions asked guarantee. Promo code TWIG, TWIG, for 10% off your order. Check out stealthgearusa.com.
Hey, don't blow off that 45-day warranty because how many of us have a bunch of holsters that didn't work out? I'm just saying, if you can get your money back and get another one, I kind of sort of do that.
Absolutely. California proposes emergency magazine ban.
I can only shake my head at that because being a Massachusetts resident for 28 or 29 years and owning a gun shop in Massachusetts is just the stupidest thing ever. Because Mass has a assault weapons ban, which includes high capacity magazines and stupid. It's
So, Matt, I want to ask you how things were going in Mass.
It's a sinking ship.
Wow.
I mean, we're essentially at the point now where there is a frequently asked questions page on the Attorney General's website, and it's changing constantly. We were told one day that we could sell pre-ban guns, pre-ban assault weapons. I have to use the air quotes, assault weapons. Guns that were obviously manufactured prior to the original 1994 ban. We were told those were okay to sell. Then 24 hours later, we were told that they're not okay to sell. And then we're told that guns that were registered in the state prior to the Attorney General's ban on July 20th were okay. Then they're not okay. They're okay for private transfer, but not through a gun shop or a gun broker. It's the way things are written and the way the information is coming out. It's essentially a way to make an example of somebody. I know because of it, we've totally stopped the sale and transfer of any of that stuff because it's such a gray area that, it's not worth it to us to potentially face jail time and a $5,000 fine for every gun we sell. But I mean, there are gun shops that are still selling guns, and they're selling like, pre-ban Polytechs for $5,000. Yeah, a gun that, I live in New Hampshire. I can buy a pre-ban Polytech if I want to for around, depending, around $1,500. But there are a lot of dealers that are completely taking advantage of the fact that there are people that either just got their licenses or didn't get a gun prior to July 20th, a AK or an AR type rifle, and they're just totally taking advantage. I mean, even on the Facebook groups and the local forums, I mean, we're our own worst enemy. I'm seeing guys selling stripped Anderson lowers for, $250. Selling M&P Sports for $1,500. Yes. And, unfortunately, that's the only way to get some of that stuff. So people are buying them. But it's been kind of nuts. And like I said, it's a huge gray area. It's not good at all. A lot of the shops are suffering. I've heard of a couple of them that they've closed their doors because they can't get clarification. There's two different entities that we have to deal with here. There's the Attorney General's office, and then there's the Firearms Record Bureau, because we have registration of guns here in Mass, and neither one of them communicate. So the Attorney General's office will tell you one thing, but they won't put it in writing. The Firearms Record Bureau will tell you something totally different, and they won't put it in writing, and they tell you to check with each other, and there's nothing that corroborates. So it's tough, man.
Is there any way, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, or do you just think it's going to continue to go down and sink?
Well, it's one of those things where everybody that comes in the store, they're like, oh, Trump is president and Trump's going to abolish it and make it go away. The issue is Mara Healey was campaigning to be in Hillary's cabinet, and she's now trying to sue Trump. She's also suing Glock because she's claiming that Glock pistols are unsafe and we can't sell Glocks in the state. And there's been so many people hurt because Glocks don't have safeties on them and stuff like that. So she's now suing Glock. We were a law enforcement dealer for Glock, and Glock called us up and said, hey, we have to cease and desist because we're getting sued by your attorney general, so we're not selling you any more guns. So the only way I see this going away is if there's a case that's taken to the Supreme Court and they rule what she's done unconstitutional, and they strip her of her powers. That is the only way this is going away. Everybody's like, oh, let's take her to court, let's do this, let's do that. You have to realize she's the attorney general, and she's using the Massachusetts taxpayers' dollars against them in a court battle. And the only way you win a court battle is with money, and she's getting an endless pit of money, of taxpayers' money. So do I see it going away anytime soon? No.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you have firearms owners that don't get off their butts and join local groups. Because remember what happened earlier this year in Virginia. The general decided he wasn't going to do the whole reciprocity thing with other states. Their 2A groups lit a fire under every representative's butt, and the governor said he was going to sign it. And these 2A groups in Virginia said, that's fine, but we're going to pull your security. And through their representatives, and that was the threat to the governor of Virginia, that he was going to have to pay for his own security, and they weren't going to provide it with taxpayer dollars. All of a sudden, he changed his tune, and it was back on, and Virginia had reciprocity with almost every other state. But when you don't participate, when you sit on your butt and you wait for the NRA or Donald Trump to do something, you get steamrolled. You steamrolled by attorney generals that have political aspirations. That's what happens when you don't get off your ass. Sorry.
So Matt, what are you guys selling?
Lever actions and revolvers.
No, hang on.
Thompson Center.
We've got a good supply of high point rifles. Um,
You're going to be the #1 high point dealer in the nation.
we are. We can sell high point stuff. We can sell like Beretta CX4s, and Ruger Mini 14s, but we can't sell. We can't sell an AR, but I can sell you an M&P 1522. We can sell any 22 we want to, any 22 rimfire we want to. Let me clarify that. No ARs, no Uzis, no AKs, no Galils, no Scars, no FALs, nothing that was listed in the original 1994 assault weapons ban, which is kind of silly. You know, I can sell an M1A, but I can't sell an AR-10. I can sell it
because it's black.
Right, right. I can sell it to Vor, but I can't sell an AR-15. So, I can sell a Mini 14, but I can't sell an AR.
But are you limited to 10-round mags on those rifles?
10-round magazines, unless the magazine was manufactured prior to September of '94. And we consider them pre-ban magazines. You know, a pre-ban steel GI magazine, you know, that's the only way you can have 20 or 30 rounds. And supply and demand, you know, those 30-round pre-ban magazines go upwards of $60 in some stores for one mag.
Wow.
So,
well, hang in there, Matt. We can't
trying.
even
High point forever, dog.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, man, they work. They're accurate, too.
Actually, it's a T&E and very small groups, no matter what I ran through it. It's awesome.
Yeah. They're decent guns.
For half the price of the Beretta pistol caliber carbine.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, back to California. They're pushing so that there was could possibly be no high capacity mags in California in 6 months.
Thank God. That'll stop crime.
Absolutely. So, feel for you guys in California too. It doesn't seem to be getting any better out there either. New Orleans pays $13 million in settlements for Katrina-era police killings, and the mayor apologizes. Remember back to Katrina, there was some shady stuff going on when everything went sideways, and it looks like New Orleans admitting guilt here, possibly.
It's about time somebody admits it.
I mean, almost 11 years later.
Yeah, well, that's what I had to laugh about. I'm like, you're your own first responder. You take care of you. Or, you know, a decade and change later, the mayor apologized. Not the mayor that was there, by the way. That idiot gets scot-free and doesn't have to say anything. What was his name? Nagin?
Right, Nagin.
Yeah.
He should be in prison.
Yeah, he said, I think he did get convicted of something and didn't spend long in Club Fed. But yeah, he's a piece of garbage, said some of the stupidest stuff imaginable. Muck, those that most didn't show up for work. I still remember one of the funny stories about them going to a Cadillac dealership and just stealing Escalades and said they were going to move them. Yeah, they moved them to Houston. They caught dudes 3 weeks later driving Cadillac Escalades in Houston. So yeah, sometimes police forces go kind of nuts because they're just people too. Sorry, but.
And just an update, Nagin is actually currently incarcerated in Texas.
Boom.
Oh, thank God.
It looks like in
How did I
Texas.
miss that?
Until 2023. That's his earliest possible release date is May 25th, 2023.
He must have done something horrible or people hated him to go to jail that long.
Gun stolen in Florida Bass Pro break-in. That's pretty ballsy, breaking into like a Bass Pro or Cabela's.
Yeah, you seen some of the geese. You see some of the geezers behind the counter at Bass Pro and Cabela's.
Well, I'm thinking more of their vast security they have in those stores compared to like a mom and pop gun shop.
Yeah, I mean, they have everything.
Yeah. go ahead.
Well, they have everything locked down. You know,
Right.
I mean, they have to by corporate policy. You know, like my gun store, you just saw me just take those guns off the wall. Like Bass Pro, Cabela's, Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy, all those big box stores, they have to have their stuff under lock and key. You know, and I know a lot of the stuff that isn't locked with metal locks, like the locking bars, has to get locked in a back room. You know, if it's in a glass display case, it has to get locked in a back room. But yeah, no, that's a ballsy move, knowing that it's, you know, multi-million-dollar company that obviously has cameras everywhere.
Yeah, these rifles were actually in a glass display case. He just walked in and grabbed 6 rifles.
They something that didn't make the news, I know about it because I have a friend down in Florida that's got a gun store. There's a shop in Tampa where there are about a dozen guys, and they drove a truck right through the front door, and they stole 40 rifles off the shelf. Like I said, didn't get a lot of news, but I mean, it's, you know, again, it's a concern. It's one of the things that we worry about here. You know, we have late hours. We're here till 11 o'clock at night. We're open at 11 p.m. And, you know, that's always one of our concerns is there going to be somebody waiting in the parking lot? That's why I make my business partner walk out before I do. So,
Hey, somebody's got to tell a story. Somebody's got to be left to tell a story. He was a hero. He was a hero. I'm going to name my kid after him. He was a hero.
We had breaking news today, 6-hour MCX recall, mandatory replacement required. You want to have an MCX?
I don't, but I want one.
Oh.
So they released they claim the issue has only been seen in the 300 blackout versions, but they're recalling all the caliber versions, and it only pertains to serial numbers under the 25,000 mark.
Well, the worst part was they tell you that it's a recall. They tell you what's wrong. They give you a diagram of what your the good parts should look like, but not what your bad parts look like. So if if you're wondering if maybe you're 1 or 2 numbers off from that serial number, they're like, yeah, this is what the new guns have in them. It's a diagram of the bolt and stuff like that. But it's not saying this is what the recalled gun has in it and this is bad. So they should have done a better job with that.
Well, maybe they updated this article. I thought it showed, isn't the Gen 2 version the version that's good?
Yeah.
Did they update? Because when I read it this morning, there wasn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they updated it.
Okay.
Yeah, they had the pictures on. I just found it funny that it's like, wait a minute, you couldn't figure out how to really make an AR-15 bolt. I mean, really? That's really beyond you.
Was it like bump firing or something? Because I noticed they added a spring to the firing pin.
Yeah.
That's like what happens when everybody comes out with a new design. Don't you remember the Bushmaster ACRs were all going full auto when they first came out?
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Smith & Wesson releases M&P 2.0.
I'm excited for that. I'm an M&P fanboy.
Yeah.
Why did they get rid of the beaver grip? Why did they get rid of the beaver tail?
I don't know.
Matt,
I like how that gun looks, though.
Matt, what can you tell us about the 2.0 from your perspective?
So it's got front cocking serrations on it. It looks like they it looks like they put some lightning cuts in the frame for whatever reason, unless it's where the new serial numbers are. Little different stippling. A little bit more aggressive. I think they're trying to go after essentially, what Glock kind of did with the Gen 4 guns. And it says that now they come with 4 grip inserts instead of 3. But I like the look of it. It's
I do too. I think it's pretty cool looking. A good price point.
Yeah. I'm trying to tell, is this the one that's in the picture? I can't tell. Like, that looks like one of the M&P Ls, but it just says the standard M&P 40. It's got looks like a longer dust cover on it than a standard gun does. But
Yeah, and I also noticed it still had the thumb safety too.
yeah, but I mean they have the versions without. There's pictures of the versions without the thumb safety as well.
Yeah, I didn't see the other side of the guns.
Yeah, they did something too. I'm looking at, so if you look at the first picture, there's something there with the slide lock on it. It looks almost like instead of pressing down on the slide lock, you can also press in, which I don't know.
Well, I'm wondering what the 4 sizes are. So small, medium, large, and like what's the third size? Extra large, tiny, midget.
It's a Tony Simon special.
Oh, okay, so it has long fingers and short thumbs. Got it. Oh, and it's cool because it comes in 9 and 40, the 2 calibers everybody wants.
I like it. I'm excited for it.
It looks pretty cool. I'd like to get one 45 actually when they come out with that one.
Well, I'd like to buy, the first generation when the prices drop because these things came out. The deal. I don't care about the newest stuff. Sorry, but remember Glock Perfection for Gen 4 has got recalled how many times? Just saying.
Well, I'm offended. Somebody's offended here. I'm
Now
not
they are.
necessarily offended, but for TV, I'm offended. UPS delivers rifle instead of toy at New York home.
Please let that be me.
They were horrified.
They shuffled the granddaughter out of the room in case, God forbid, she saw it. I can't believe.
Please let that be me.
I honestly, I hate people. Why do you have
to? I'm looking at the. Yeah. The way they wrote the story to be totally negative, as if it was poison that got delivered to the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shuffle the daughter out like they opened it up and it was like a bunch of like nudie magazines. It's like
they would have been less disturbed if it was like full of rat poison. They'd be like, why do I have rat poison?
Yeah. So yeah, somebody sent them a package of white powder. It was what the hell's that stuff that they had after 9/11? Anthrax. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, here, honey, take a deep breath as long as it's not a gun.
It's like, thank goodness it's not. It looks like a 50 cal Barrett, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Oh, please let that be me. Oh, they'd have never gotten a phone call. My UPS guy hates me anyway because I ordered cases of Mosin ammo. Yeah, I made him work.
I wonder who screw up that. That's got to be UPS's screw up. I think shockingly UPS screwed up.
Well, I think the jacked up part is they got a copy of the guy's license. They got his firearm. It was supposed to go to a gunsmith in New York State, and they sent it to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
All right. Too many stories to cover this week. You can pledge your support over at firearmsradio.tv/pledge. We have the after show level that you can pledge at to hang out with us after the show every other week. And there's also levels where you can pledge for as little as a cup of coffee per month, $5 per month. Firearmsradio.tv/pledge. Extra stories you can see at the show notes, which are always at firearmsradio.tv, and click This Week in Guns. Amazon, you can contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link or by clicking the Amazon banners on the website, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. You can bookmark that, and you can support Pro Gun Radio while shopping Amazon. Just click through our affiliate banners first. We're to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call their own. While you guys are picking your stories, I want everyone else to head on over to JWB Military and Brass. They have awesome steel targets for if you have a range that you can put steel out at. You're going to want to check out JWB Military and Brass's steel targets. They have all the way from very tiny steel targets all the way up to big gongs. They also have ready to load reloading brass 9mm 223, 300 blackout, 308. This is trimmed, ready to load brass, fully processed. jwbmilitary.com. All right, Tony, you ready to go?
Son of a gun. I was trying to figure out which one I wanted because it was awesome. The drunk Kim Jong-un. I'm loving every part of this story, especially as a dude that used to be in the military. Okay, so the leader of North Korea decides to tie one on, get tanked up, and decides to really F with his generals by making them all write confessions about how they're traitors.
Oh my gosh.
So they all wrote letters into being traitors to the country. Left him with him on his desk or something, and when he sobered up, he didn't even remember it. It was great.
Oh my god.
And I'm dude, what was it? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah. And as someone who's former enlisted, this just sounds like something great to do to a general. Because didn't he have his uncle killed by a pack of wild dogs?
Yep.
Like, he comes up with cool ways to execute people too. It's like
To execute his family.
If I'm Donald Trump, I just keep that guy well stocked.
Yeah, keep him liquored up.
Let him handle himself.
You know their big drink, right? The big drink is cognac. That's like the #1 alcohol import in North Korea. And I feel bad for all the junior officers that somehow thought they were going to finally get promotions because all these dudes from the Korean War were going to get executed in the morning. Like, yes, I've been a lieutenant for 32 years. I finally get promoted. His house. Yeah. It's an awesome story. I'm sorry. Maybe you got to be, I don't know, but it's just great.
That's pretty hilarious. Okay. Hey, Matt, what do you have?
I picked the 99 Dallas police officers have quit or retired in the last 10 weeks. Pretty sad story, you know, with everything that's going on. Everything's going on these days with law enforcement and stuff like that. It's kind of disheartening to see that, you know, these guys and gals down there, they have to leave their jobs because, you know, I've heard it locally too from a bunch of local guys. You know, they're afraid to do their job, and they're afraid to put on the uniform because they're targeted and they have a target on their backs. You know, it's unfortunate because these are people that took an oath to protect and serve, and when they kind of have their hands tied and they're constantly under the scrutiny of everybody with a cell phone camera and they can't do their jobs, you know, you really have to kind of sit there and ask, what is a society? You know, it's sad because with you know, the decline in police officers, obviously crime's going to rise and response times are going to go way, way down. And, you know, that could mean life and death for certain people. That's sad. You know, it's not cool. But
yeah, very unfortunate. It's going to be harder and harder to hire good cops in a lot of these major cities.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking now. It's like, maybe I should apply down there. They don't pay enough though.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the big problems. They don't pay enough in most any city.
It's crazy. You know, the highest starting pay down there is $65,000. And that's like half of what a cop makes their first year here in Boston.
Wow. All right, JD, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to talk about Richard Marks because I think this story's hilarious. He was on a flight with his wife from Vietnam to South Korea with Daisy Fuentes, and he was called upon to help keep the airplane safe from a deranged passenger. Apparently, the flight attendants couldn't figure out how to use the taser or figure out how to properly tie a knot to subdue the man. So Marks several times had to hold the man down, and it was about a 4-hour flight. They described it as it was kind of a taxing flight going back and forth. his wife, Daisy Fuentes, said during the confrontation, "Don't worry, Richard, I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back." And that flight must have felt like an endless summer night, guys.
Wow. Really?
And nobody gets that. But I'm a radio nerd, so nobody will.
I get them. It was just horrible. So let me throw this out there. Daisy Fuentes, still hot.
And Richard Marx looks like an alien.
Oh, yeah, he looks like life beat him to death. I think maybe she's drinking his soul. She's just eating parts of it, and he just look. I mean, look at Bill Clinton compared to Hillary Clinton. Yeah, that's a husk of a man. Succubus. Oh, Lord.
There we go.
I don't even remember this song. He was a hit.
You know, you had a mullet and parachute pants and was slow dancing at the prom with somebody.
He's actually from Illinois. He's from Highland Park. All right. Enough 80s throwback. So, I don't know. We have a lot of full auto stories this week. Lots of crazy stuff going on. Did you guys see the explosion at the Mexican fireworks market?
That was nuts.
It looked like the next Michael Bay movie being filmed.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm more memorized by the woman that fends off would-be robber with sex toys.
Wow.
I thought you'd take that one first, Matt.
I did. I just saw it.
Well, that yeah, I didn't even see that one. I was busy looking at the Mexican people that were tired of having their relatives kidnapped, so they decided to kidnap the drug dealer's mom and hold her hostage. That's just awesome. It's like, we're tired of this. Let's go to his house.
The sex toy thing, that was actually, they robbed a sex toy shop and they started throwing dildos at them.
Dude.
Yeah, but like an unlimited.
You are the worst. The worst robber of all times. Think about that.
You have a
you didn't
gun.
You didn't get fend off with it. Yeah, you didn't get fend off with a knife or a bat. You got fend off with a jelly dong.
You couldn't intimidate two women with a firearm. You got beat with flying dildos. Dude, you give it up. Listen, go start selling Amway or something. Just talk to relatives, borrow some money, go to DeVry, or even become a Phoenix. Something. Just look, give up this robbery.
Phoenix.
Give up this robbery thing. It is not for you. You need to change. Listen, refrigeration repair is a real thing. I'm just saying.
That's awesome.
We have another story. Metallica frontman flees Northern California for Colorado. I don't know.
Saw that.
Somebody threw that in there.
Really?
Was that really that much of an upgrade?
That's why Colorado's going south, is because all the crazy people from California is going out there. I guess I'll wrap this up with the incredible true story of the Christmas truce of World War One. There's a pretty good Facebook video going around that kind of depicts this, but over 100 years ago, during the Christmas in the midst of World War One, German and British soldiers stopped fighting. There's several unofficial ceasefires during that Christmas. Some lasted a few hours, some lasted a few days, some lasted until the New Year. And some of them they left their trenches and kind of had a meet and greet in no man's land between the trenches. There's one story of there's actually a letter that one soldier wrote home about how the Germans were occupying a brewery and they actually rolled out some kegs and sat down and shared some beer.
Nice.
On Christmas Day. So there's other stories of them sharing boxes of chocolates, tobacco, cigars, sausages. But in other parts of the front they didn't have a ceasefire like that. Some the killing continued. but overall, it's kind of a cool story. There's even photos of it taking place between the British and German troops all the way back in World War I, 1914, Christmas Day.
Well, people forget how much Europeans had in common with each other. I mean, you vacationed in places, you know what I mean? You spoke multiple languages. You had more in common with each other, even during that time, than you would, we have different cultures here. Like we have the global war on terrorism. Well, I'm not going to chill out. I mean, I just don't have the same culture as a lot of dudes that would be my enemy in the desert in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to sing Christmas carols together. It's just totally different. So yeah, there won't be a truce there. I mean, it may be on an individual basis. Every war. I mean, I heard about stuff like that in Vietnam. I heard about stuff like that in Korea, where just a regular everyday guys just got tired of killing each other, and they just said, "Yeah, not today."
Well, there's a new way to support the show. You can pledge your support at firearmsradio.tv/pledge. And Patriot Patch Company helps make this show possible. You can check out the new Patch of the Month Club. There's limited enrollment going on for the January version of the Patch of the Month Club. And there's going to be a really cool version coming out for February. So you're going to want to be subscribed before then. PatriotPatch.co. This is a part of the show where we see what these guys are up to and where you can connect with them online or offline. So Matt, what's up and where can people connect with you?
You can find me all over the internet, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat at DRF Training. Also my hunting page at Matt DeVito Hunts. Like I was saying before, I just got back from a hunt in Texas, headed out next week, day after Christmas, to my last hunt of the year. And looking forward to 2017, man. It's been a crazy up and down year this year in 2016. So hoping 2017 has some better stuff in store.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Matt DeVito Hunts. What's that all about?
So I'm a Mossy Oak pro staffer. I'm sponsored by Lehigh Defense. Lehigh Defense is a company that makes machine bullets. A lot of folks may actually, if you hunt, you may be shooting a Lehigh bullet and not even realize it. They put bullets in a lot of other loaded ammunition. And essentially, a couple of years ago, I wanted to dedicate more time to conservation, to hunting, and to getting people into the sport and the culture of hunting. And that's basically what I'm trying to do right now, is just spread the good word, let people know that you don't have to go to the grocery store for your food. There's plenty of food to be had out in the woods. It's organic, it's non-GMO. And one of the people that's taken to it greatly is John from the Gun Collective, who's a regular on the show, and we've hunted together twice now, and it's awesome just to see people's growth. Once they get into it and they get out there and they have their camo on, and you're sitting there for hours on end and you're waiting for that moment. It's super rewarding, and I'm going to try and concentrate on in 2017 is getting more young adults involved. I didn't grow up hunting. I'm the first person in my family to ever pick up a firearm. So I kind of learned everything by doing it and making mistakes. And one of the things that I want to do to help spread the word is to get more people involved, more younger people involved. I tell people all the time, get off the Xbox and or the PlayStation and go outside, get outdoors. There's a whole world out there for you that a lot of people don't know exists. So I've dedicated a fair amount of time to hunting, to traveling the country, hunting different species, large game, small game, waterfowl, upland bird. I do it all. I really enjoy doing it, and I really enjoy eating what I harvest. a lot of people. And it's funny, Baraka, who is, another guy that's a regular on the show. He's a guy that's doing the same thing for the conservation movement. And, a lot of people get into heated debates with us that, you're doing it for sport. You're enjoying killing an animal. And, it's an alpha male thing. It's a macho thing. And it's not at all. It's one of those things where it's very rewarding, when you can take an animal and feed your family. Like I said, on the last hunt that I went on, it was a really hard hunt. It was a 4-day hunt, and we didn't see any animals until the very last morning. I ended up shooting 3 pigs, and a lot of people may say, hey, that's excessive. Why do you need to shoot 3 pigs? 1, it's an invasive species. 2, there were 3 other guys that didn't get to shoot anything on the trip, and they all went home with meat because I spread it out equally between us all. So again, they're going to have organic, non-GMO bacon, which is delicious, sausage, pork chops, ribs. They can take and they can bring to their families and, introduce other people to meat that's not processed and, that occurs, I guess you could say, naturally out in the world. So pretty cool thing. I enjoyed it a lot. And on 2017, I'm going to try and focus as much energy to that as possible. So
that's awesome.
That's about it.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Really cool. I didn't realize you were such a greenie. I mean, locally sourced, non-GMO.
No, I'm not. No, not
Tree hugger.
No, not at all. I'm not. I'm really not. It's just, it's funny because you have people that will, it's got to be organic and they got to go to Whole Foods and the this and the that and all that other stuff. And it's like, I started raising chickens this year, and I have the eggs from the chickens and everything. And it's funny because you don't realize it, because you grew up eating packaged meat and stuff like that. It tastes totally different. It's way better for you.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those things where I always laugh, where there's the people that will go to Whole Foods and I can only eat organic and non-GMO, but then they want to criticize you for hunting and eating a wild animal that's never been in a cage on a farm or anything like that. So it's just, it's kind of a little bit of a dig.
Well, it's really
twist the knife.
No, totally. It's really funny how disconnected people are. You're doing it the way. I mean, really, many of our grandparents, great grandparents did it. They were, a lot of them, even if they lived in town, they were quote unquote backyard farmers to a certain extent back then, and a lot of them went hunting, and it was it was all good and pure and no additives, no anything bad put into the meat or the vegetable or whatever you're trying to accomplish there. And then you fast forward 50 years and everything's prepackaged, clean and neat in a grocery store. And then people are like, well, this food's not so good. It's got all these additives. Why is that? Well,
right.
Well, the reason it had all the additives and everything else is because people were starving back in the day, and they had to come up with a way to make food faster, bigger, and spread more. So that's what they did with fertilizers and pesticides, so your ass could eat. That's why they did it. Your grandparents weren't skinny because they were fit. They were skinny because they worked their butts off and didn't get much to eat. That's why.
No,
I'm the first generation.
they had plenty to eat. They just worked their butts off.
Yeah. I had I'm the first generation of my family actually not to hunt. It was just not something my dad did. My uncles did. My mom grew up, cleaning game and cooking game, but she said after she did all that, she really didn't want to eat it. So it wasn't a big thing for her either. But now I'm like, you know what? I really want to get into this. I want to see what it's about. Check it out. So 2017 might be that year I step up. We have a couple of hog hunts going on, pheasant hunts, and I might just co-sign on that and at least see what it's like. And I mean, I've never been against hunting. I was just against hunting with the people that I grew up with because they were stupid and unsafe. It's like when you come back telling the story about how you almost shot each other, that did not motivate me to go in the woods with you.
Yep.
Matt, share your links again real quick.
Yeah. So all the firearms training stuff is at DRF Training. Website drftraining.com. But at DRF Training is for Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, and Tumblr and a lot of other stuff. And then at Matt DeVito Hunts, and Matt DeVito Hunts on Facebook, for all the hunting stuff.
Very cool. Tony, so what's been up lately, and where can people connect with you online?
All right, what's been up lately is I've been hustling, trying to get the Second is for Everyone 2017 schedule going and get sponsors online. You can find the Second is for Everyone actually on Facebook at the Second is for Everyone. You can also check it out and the stuff I do on Simon Says Train on Facebook and Instagram. I have both of those accounts. Also, you can go to diversityshoot.com. That's my website where I also have a donate button if you'd like to help out. It really does. I mean, just $5, $10 really helps me purchase ammo, drinks. What I do is do all this out of my pocket. I pay for all this out of my pocket. I'm not a charitable organization. I'm Tony just trying to make a difference. So if you can help me out, I'd really appreciate it. Also, you can hear me every week on Gun and Gear Review podcast on the Firearm Radio Network. Appreciate your time and invite me on, Jake.
Yeah, appreciate you helping out. Very cool what you're doing for the Second Amendment community, especially in a battleground state like New Jersey.
Why, thank you. Really, everybody can participate. Everybody can make phone calls to their elected officials. Do it. Let them know. Even if you live in a state that's gun friendly, sometimes they still act stupid and you have to check them. And as long as they know that there are people out there like you that will call them, they might not be so ready to co-sign on to some AstroTurf organization if they know that they're citizens that are paying attention.
Absolutely. JD, what's up? Where can people connect online?
You can find me at AR15 Podcast on Instagram and also on Facebook. We've had a busy last month or so. We've had the guys from the Gun Collective, John and Adam, on two-part series there. Bob Faxon for Faxon Firearms. Also talked to the Springfield Saint crew. We're looking forward to planning 2017 and getting out to SHOT Show. The whole crew is going to be out here, and they're all crashing at my place, so it should make for an interesting couple days. We're really excited seeing the partnerships grow with the podcast, being able to do a lot of rifle giveaways and stuff in the last year. It's been a lot of fun, a huge learning experience, just being with the show for a year. But good things coming, great listeners, and we like being a part of the Firearms Radio Network.
Glad to have you. And those guns are supposed to come to me. I don't know how they got involved, but
I'll let you and Reed battle it out, and then whoever wins, I'll send the FFL your information.
No, very cool. I'm glad you're doing it. It's awesome, especially for the listeners. All right, that about wraps us up. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of the YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes. Leave us a review on iTunes. You can watch live almost every Thursday night at roughly 9 p.m. Central Time, usually on Facebook and YouTube. On Facebook, you go to Firearms Radio Network Facebook page, and then it'll usually pop up about 9:15 p.m. Central Time, except for tonight, since we're all having video issues, except for Matt. Matt, you look beautiful.
Thank you. I tried.
Stud muffin. I look like him, but black and fatter.
Brothers from a different mother.
I'm like his photo. I'm like his fat photo negative.
Oh boy.
You can contribute to the show by using our Amazon affiliate link. And that about wraps us up. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Jake. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you, JD.
Hey, Jake, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Happy holidays, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.